Are you considering taking a multi-country trip this year? Well, if so, you need to hear how to do that so that something terrible doesn't go wrong. All right, this year more than any other year, it is the year that you have to be organized. You have to be over-prepared. So in the case of multi-country travel, it is even more important because not only are you, for instance, if you're American and say you're going to 3 countries, you are an American going, say, to France, but then when you go from France to Germany, you're a French going to Germany, so you have different requirements to get into Germany because you're coming from France. And then if you're going from Germany and say you pass through the Netherlands on your way to England, the Netherlands are going to have their own set of restrictions even if you're not staying, even if you're just transiting through on your way to England. So this is the year, if you're doing multi-country, that you need to be even more prepared than anybody else just doing a single location. All right, so let me go ahead and dive into the example using the Reopen EU website, which I recommend if you're going to anywhere in Europe.
All right, so if your multi-country vacation this year involves European countries at all, this is the website I recommend you use, and this is the one I'm going to walk you through today. Now, if you're going to other countries outside of the EU for your multi-country vacation, then what you would just need to do is come to a typical Google site, type in your location. For instance, let's say you're going to Mexico, travel restrictions or travel requirements, and then you would just need to look through these websites to find the information that you need. My key websites that I usually look for are anything that would be an embassy. You can also look for the State Department or any tourism boards. Those are always key places to look for this information as they are the most official situation that you can look for. The other thing you could do is look at your airline specifically. So for instance, if we go to Delta Airlines, they actually have a travel requirements website. Now for them, they specifically have something for Italy because they were one of the Italy COVID testing flights. But if you're not traveling to Italy, they do have some information that can help you along. So that is another place that you can check for information is on your airline and their website. They might be able to help you with some of the international travel requirements to help you plan your trip. So let's go back to Europe because this is going to be the best way I'm going to be able to illustrate what it's like going from country to country to country. So let's go ahead and jump in with how to do that. My favorite thing to do here is actually click on travel plan. And then what you would do is click in your departing country. So for us, we're basically the rest of the world. But what we want to do here is simply pick our first country. So let's say our first country is going to be Italy. And you just click go. And then it gives you the situation in a brief nutshell of what's happening. One of the things, though, I want to talk about before I dive into all of this is this piece right here. So if you add a transit, and let's say, for instance, I don't know why it would be this way, but let's just say you actually are going to be going through Iceland, oddly enough, on your way to Italy. I don't know why that would happen, but let's just use it as an example. So it talks about, can I transit in this company? Transit passengers who don't leave the terminal don't have to undergo any screening or quarantine. All right, so that is the basic premise. Now, I need to talk to you about if you're going to a new country. So say you went to Italy, everything's fine, you didn't have a transit, let's just say you went straight to Italy. All right, now you want to leave Italy and you want to go to Germany. You cannot use rest of the world as your origin any longer. You need to change the origin to Italy now. Actually, it won't let me. Hold on. Let's say where we're going first. We're going to go to Germany, but you need to change your origin to Italy because that is going to change things. Now, here's where it's going to get slightly complicated. And this is why, if you can help it, maybe don't do a multi-country trip this year because it complicates things. This is what I mean. If you're coming from Italy to Germany, now it thinks you are coming from a European member state, which you are. The problem is you're not a European. And so you don't have the green certificate like other European states may or may not have. And so it just complicates things slightly. But let's look at and see what this does. So if you're coming from Italy and you're going to Germany, you have to provide a negative test, full proof of vaccination, or proof of recovery when you arrive entering Germany. If you've been in a risk area, then you need to register. And so you would need to go through each piece of this and make sure you have it all covered, and you can see how extensive it could be. So for every country you go through, you need to do this. So now let's say you went to Italy, you went to Germany, and now you want to go from Germany over to France. So you need to now change this. You need to change this as coming from Germany. And then now you need to go through all of this and make sure you have the exact requirements that you need to have. So now you can see how complicated it can get when you're going from country to country. Now, the other thing you need to check for each of these is also the transit. So if you're on your way from Germany to France and for some reason you go through Switzerland, then you would need to look at this and look to see what the transit situation is. Like what exactly is going to be required based on where you're coming from and where you're going. So this is the complication with that. But here's the one more level of complication is, yeah, you're going to Germany as if you're coming from Italy or you're coming from Switzerland and so forth. But you always have to remember that you are an American, a Canadian, an Australian, or whatever it is that you are, because that's also going to affect the requirements for these countries. So not only are you coming from Germany to France, but you also have to remember that they're going to have their own special rules if you're American, Canadian, or so forth. So the other thing that I would do, again, more complicated, but this is what needs to happen, is to check, okay, what does the France entry requirements, travel restrictions, and double check what they want from an American or a Canadian or whatever country is your native country. So you have to check it from where you're coming from, the country you're coming from, but also what your native country is, and compare the two and just make sure all of your bases are covered. So do you see what I mean? Do you see how complicated it can get? Now, if you're willing to go through this, that's great. Just make sure you are the most detail-oriented you've ever been in your entire life. Read through all of this and know exactly what it is that you need to do. The other thing you need to do is continue to check this situation. This situation, if I were going from Germany to France, is what it is today, and today happens to be August 6th. But if I were to check this tomorrow, it could change. If I were to check this next month, it could change. Because as you know, COVID stuff is changing literally day by day. So once you check this first and make your reservations and your plans based on this, make sure you're monitoring it all the way through.
Alrighty, so that was a lot of information, but I want to make sure you are absolutely 100% clear about what you need to do if you're going to multi-countries this year. I just made a video that covers a real family's struggles. They just got back from England and Germany, what they went through. I will share that above for you if you'd like to take a look. It just covers some of the real life examples of things that are happening and ways that you can protect yourself so that the same thing doesn't happen to you on your vacation. And the biggest lesson with that is to make sure you're checking your travel requirements, not just at the time of booking, all the way through your vacation. So leading up to when you leave, but then also during your vacation to make sure nothing changes. Because as you know, with COVID, literally the travel requirements can change day to day. So you need to be super on top of that and always know exactly what's needed before you move into the next leg of your vacation. The other thing is to buy travel insurance. And if you watch another video, you'll know I'm talking about this quite often, but travel insurance is absolutely vital this year. So it helps you if your flight is canceled, which is happening a lot. Flights are being canceled left and right. And it's not a rare thing anymore. It's actually something that could very literally happen to you. It helps to protect you against that. And then if it happens, they help you find a new flight and or give you the money so that you can book a new flight. If things are delayed, if your baggage is lost or stolen, medical emergencies, dental emergencies. And then also if you pick the right company, they also have some COVID protections as well. Whether you get sick in another country or there's another lockdown and you need to be repatriated and get out, they can help you with that as well. And we do have a travel insurance company that we like because they do have COVID protections. Not all, there's some caveats, but they do protect against some of the COVID situations. And then also they have some protections against some activities that most other big travel insurance agencies don't cover. So it's as important as it is to read the fine print to know what is covered, you also need to know what isn't covered because there's actually quite a lot that's not covered. And this insurance company that we have below is one that does cover all those little things. So if you're interested in that, the link is below, or otherwise, if you go to one of the other travel insurance companies, make sure you're reading the fine print and also what is not covered as well. The other thing is to bring hard copies, again, beating the drum, but hard copies of everything. So bring obviously your hard copy of your negative test, your vaccine card, bring even a copy of your passport in case your passport's lost or stolen. Bring your hotel reservations. A surprising number of countries want to see that you have reservations in their country and you're not just showing up and gonna go willy-nilly someplace. So you need to have a hard copy of your hotel reservation or lodging, whatever it is, and then anything else that you have. It just protects in case your phone dies, in case you run out of data or Wi-Fi, the QR reader isn't working, whatever may happen, or even it's just a person's being a pain in the butt and you need to show them a hard copy. Just bring hard copies. If you never use them, great, but at least if you have them, you're covered just in case. The next thing is to be prepared for chaos at the airports. Another theme I have this year. I need to make sure everybody knows this. I need to make sure that you're prepared for this because it will make the difference between having a great vacation or having a super stressed out freak of a vacation. Know there's gonna be chaos in the airports. Know there might be cancellations. Know there's going to be lines. My friends that just went, they lucked out because the longest line they had to wait in was an hour. That was lucky. There are some places that are up to 8 hours. So just know that that might be a possibility. Do not plan any activities on your travel days. Keep your travel days just travel days. That way, if there are extra lines and extended waits and things happen, you're not stressed about getting to that activity. You have that only is a travel day, and then if something happens, you're fine. Also, prepare for those lines. So if it's bringing extra snacks, an activity to do for the kids or for yourself, just know it, expect it, and then that way when you see it, you don't stress about it, and it's just part of the plan for your vacation. And again, if it doesn't happen, fantastic, but at least you're prepared for it. And then finally, this is the year you need to be over-prepared, organized, everything. Like I said at the beginning, this is the year you have to be so much more organized, and especially if you're going to multiple countries this year. To be honest, if you haven't booked your vacation yet and you're considering multiple countries, you need to know exactly what is going to be required and whether or not you're willing to do that. Every extra country you add is going to add more complexity to your vacation and more potential for things to go wrong. If you're okay with that, fine. But if you tend to get stressed about that and you don't want to go through that, maybe don't do multiple countries this year. Maybe this is the year, just do one country and you can do those multiple countries another time. The other thing you could do for multiple countries is go through a tour company, such as a Trafalgar or something like that, where they actually have a package that covers a certain number of countries. Because when it's a package or a tour company like that, they will be on top of checking all those little things. And then if something changes, then they notify you, they monitor what's going on. Not that that excuses you, you still need to watch yourself, but in general, they would help make sure that everything went according to plan. Okay, but if you are somebody that is fine with the stress, is fine planning, and you're super organized, we've created a resource which I've linked below that has some worksheet pages to help jog your memory on things to remember, and then also some of our helpful tips and tricks. We also have a travel restrictions section with some helpful resources for that, and then also worksheets to help make sure you're remembering and covering everything that you need, including the countries you're transitioning through. And then if you are traveling this year, be sure to take a look at these videos here, which will help you in your planning in the year of craziness. And other than that, if you have any other destination ideas that you'd like to hear about, please put them in the comments below, and then I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much for stopping by. Take care. Bye-bye.